Welcome to the Daily Influence, where our mission is to deliver a daily dose of positive influence that can uplift you personally or be shared within your sphere of influence. While not every episode may directly apply to your unique circumstances, we strive to provide insights and inspiration relevant to most people's daily, weekly, and monthly lives. Whether you are tuning in during the morning, noon, or night, the Daily Influence is here for you. Listen, share, and embrace the power of influence in your life. Hey everybody, Brian Smith here with the Iron Team series and the Daily Influence, and we are going to move into self-education. And a lot of us don't think about our self-education on a regular basis. Yeah, oftentimes when I start to talk about self-education, people think of like continuing education credits or, you know, going to a daily workshop or paying for some kind of education online or something like that. But the process of self-education for us on a day-to-day basis is completely different than that. Self-education, yes, can be done in a very formal setting, but I'm talking about slowing down, as we've talked about time and time again, being smart about yourself and your area of influence all the time and encapsulating your life, your experiences, your influences, inbound and outbound, and learning from them, self educating yourself. And one of the biggest challenges we have is just slowing down and paying attention. What does that even mean? What about my day had a lesson in it? What about my day could offer me an opportunity to self educate? What could I learn from what happened today? Most of us don't go home and think like that. But maybe we should. Nelson Mandela said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. I would say to change your world, to improve your world, to make you better. How many of us think about the interactions we had through the day, the conversations we had, how we can learn from what happened from those conversations? How many of us analyze that on a regular basis, daily, weekly, monthly, unpacking these things? How about in our companies or in our families, in the interactions we have there? And as how when we're individually together in bigger groups, how can we learn from the wins and the losses that we might have in the ebb and flow of our work life and our challenges? There's 8 billion or over 8 billion people on this planet. And each of us has these different experiences, these different choices, these different opportunities, all these decisions that are being made. Some good, some bad, some horrific. How can we learn about them? We want to idolize and uh, put on pedestal some of the most dramatic, and we want to be very simple about what those lessons might be. But those aren't lessons, those are just knee jerk reactions to experiences most of the time other people have. And we can't possibly fathom contextually what that means in our areas of influence or for ourselves. We don't know. Yet we have to rely on these experiences to try to help us pave the way so that we self educate and we set ourselves up for the best possible influence we can have. I think humans like to learn. The question is do you know how you learn? I know for me that verbal hearing it, having a conversation with the people that are in our organization, with my clients. I have to write, and I write voraciously. I have books everywhere. I have college uh, composition books and notebooks and pieces of paper everywhere. I still keep a paper calendar right here. It's because I learn better when I write and I physically put down the words that I'm trying to remember. the description of the events or what's happening, the influences that I'm trying to have help me be better, help me help others be better. So what's important is that you understand how you learn best. And then you put in your area of influence what's needed to employ that. If writing's good for you, start journals. Write in those journals. Take a moment. On my calendar, everybody that knows, if they see my calendar, if there's a meeting, there is a block after that meeting. That block might be 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, depending on what the meeting was about, how in depth that meeting might have been, how many topics we were discussing. And the reason for that block is to unpack. It's to write down and put the notes in place. It's to memorialize and to educate myself so that I stay in context with whatever topic happened for that area of influence for that meeting. It also sets a barrier in between so I don't commingle that meeting with the next one. I don't want to carry into my next meeting from client A into client B, client A's problems. I don't want to commingle or confuse my thought process. I want to be able to go into my next meeting with a clear mind so that I can be educated, self-educated within that area of influence in that context. So we have to understand how we learn. We have to understand how we can educate ourselves with the tools we have. Find those tools. If it's listening, then use a recorder. On most of our phones, you can do voice memos. Leave yourself notes. Listen to them. You have to slow down, though, to do this, to be very, very intentional. And when we understand and learn more about our responsibility in our areas of influence, it really helps us to want to learn more. When we look back and say, wow, I've made that same mistake over and over and over again, what do I need to do to learn how to not do that again? You got to unpack it. You got to be mindful about it. What can I do to educate myself? How can I create new habits that will help me to be better? How can I educate myself to do this? And only you can start. You may not be able to educate yourself alone, but you're the only person who can start the process. You're the only person who can go to somebody else and say, I need help. You're the only person who can get online and look for a tool to help you or the information to help you. You have to start with you. Self-education always starts with you. And don't just learn from your own lessons. If you're tackling a problem that you know is yours, but you know other people have overcome it, go look, go ask them. Yes, contextually, it might be different. They're different people. They have different circumstances. But then get a few of them. Look at a number of case studies, a number of people who have overcome similar issues. Find the happy median. Use it to educate yourself to choose and make a decision for the right action for you, whatever that means. You can use the experiences of others. You don't have to mirror it. You don't have to mimic it. But you can use it as a way to help guide you, to help educate you, to improve your actions, to make you better. And being accountable, you have to hold yourself accountable to these things. And to do that, you got to slow down. You got to challenge yourself. Am I learning the things that I need to learn? Am I making the same mistakes over and over again? Or am I educating myself to be better? And if I'm not, what can I do that will help me to do that better? How can I hold myself accountable in a different way? How do I stop justifying for my actions and start really being accountable for them so that I can improve the actions I'm taking? So that the decisions I make are the ones that move me in the direction I want to go in. How can I be smart in this process? And you just constantly ask yourselves these questions. Challenge yourself, write them down, put them on Post-it notes. But the more you challenge yourself, Am I educating? Am I learning? The more that you ask if you're being smart, the more that you look in the mirror and say, are you justifying? Are you being accountable? The more open you'll get to answering those questions honestly. Your education ultimately is in your hands. Yes, others may help you get educated, but they can't get you to start. They can't determine how you learn best. They can help you, but you need to help them help you. You need to share with them how you learn best, what you want to learn, why it's important, what you're going to do with it. Use your area of influence to self-educate. Use the experiences in your life to learn something. Challenge yourself to be better. Challenge yourself to not justify mistakes. Challenge yourself to use them through accountability to improve. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about one of the biggest challenges of self-education, which is the distractions of our life, what gets in our way. One of the hardest things to overcome is, how do I self-educate when my life is going 1,000 miles an hour? You say slow down, Brian, but how do I do that? My life is chaos. How do I cut through the noise, get through the distraction, and pull those nuggets of education out? And we're going to talk about that in our next session. I hope you have an amazing weekend. I look forward to talking to you again next time.